Well, the Ordinances Ready tool is amazing and is able to help all members find people to take to the temple. There are instances where you may still want to be more in charge of where you're going to find your ancestors that you want to take to the temple, or you may also want to be able to clean up a specific line and focus on that area of your family tree in a way that Ordinances Ready wouldn't be responsive to. So I want to demonstrate the way to use the Descendancy View to find people to take to the temple, which is still an important skill to be able to have in terms of identifying specific ancestors that may need ordinances. The idea behind the Descendancy View and Descendancy research is that you'll start it yourself, and then you'll go back in your tree and try to find somebody that's born around 1800, and then you'll go from that person, turn around, and come back to view their descendants. So you'll be viewing your cousins. And the reason that you like to do that is because once you get back to 1800, it's very difficult to find sources and to be able to have information that you can rely on to add new sources and new information. Whereas when you come back to the cousins that are born in the later 1800s, you have all sorts of records that are available and that are able to help you to beef up your family information and improve it. So if I were going to use the Descendancy View to try to find somebody to take to the temple, I would come out to this outer row. Now, for a lot of younger people, this still isn't going to be far enough out for them to be able to arrive at 1800, and they'll have to do this in a two-step process. But I would come out here and pick somebody, and you'll notice when I hover over the name, at the base of their name, a fan appears. And so if I click this fan, they are going to come from here to here. They'll be the primary person in the middle of the fan. So I'm picking Joseph Caleb Balderson. I click the fan that appears when I hover. He's now in the middle of the tree, and you'll see that he was born in 1810. 1810 is about as close as I would want to have somebody be birth-wise, because I'm going to click 4 generations down from them. And if you have somebody born after 1810, you end up having the 4th generation need ordinances, but all be born within this last 110-year range, and you can't take them to the temple. And so you're kind of wasting the one generation that you can look at. I'll show you that as I go to the Descendancy View. So I guess what I'm saying is this person is a viable person to view, but you could also go back and do somebody as far back as 1785. And so we might want to go and put Jacob Balderson in the main spot. And again, if I was a younger person, I'd almost have to take this next person, because Joseph probably would have been born in 1840, and then I would have to go and get somebody that was closer to 1800. We're content with Joseph, born in 1810. And so what I'm going to do is change the view from the fan chart view to the Descendancy View. And when I do that, I will have Joseph as the father and his wife and children. And you can see over here we've got these icons. We don't have any of the red or purple ones, but we do have some record hints and some temple icons. If you've got a bunch of pictures over here that looks like this, you can see how unwieldy that is going to be. And so I would always suggest that you undo your portraits so that it squishes together nicely like that. And then these icons, the red ones are data problems, so they can be things like you don't have a standardized birth date, or they can be the person was born before their parents were, all sorts of things that you don't want to live with. This possible duplicates would fit into that category as well. Research suggestions are just something that will say that you don't have any sources, or there's possible missing children, things like that. Record hints are wonderful. They're the sources that the church's computer has gone out and found among the billions of records that have been indexed by the church, and then they're brought in and positioned by your person, and all you have to do is look at it, verify that it does match your individual, and you can add the source to your person using their source linker tool, which is very easy to use. And then you can use the information on the source to enhance the information about your individual. But the thing that we're the most excited about are finding temples. The blue temple is the least exciting because it means that the person needs ordinances, but the blue temple indicates that somebody has already requested those ordinances. So you're not going to do much with somebody that has a blue temple. What we want to find is either a green temple or an orange temple. Since we don't have any on this initial family, what we're going to do is click this 4 generations, and that will give us Joseph and his 4 generations coming down from him, his children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. So I'm going to click that, and you'll see the family becomes much larger. And we have more record hints, we have more people with temple icons, but again, we're looking for green or orange icons. As we scroll down, somebody's claimed a bunch of these. Here's some data problems that we were talking about. But here we finally have our first green temple. And so what we want to do is figure out what is it that he needs. Well, he just needs to be sealed to his parents, but that's obviously something that I want to do. So I would just come to his person link at the bottom here. I would right click on it and open the link in a new tab. That's going to take me to John Wakefield. The reason I opened it in a new tab is because if I go and look at this person and end up either requesting his ordinances quickly or finding that I am bogging down and it's not being as meaningful as I want to be able to come back and look it over and go farther down the list and find another person. But if I come to John Wakefield, I notice that he's got 3 sources. He doesn't have any record hints here. I can view my relationship to him, verify that I really am related. You can see, so this is my cousin John Wakefield. This is me down here. So I totally am in the right to take him to the temple. He's got a nice birth date and birthplace. He doesn't have a death place, but he's got a nice death date. And I notice that he doesn't have a spouse. I wouldn't mind finding that spouse, but I'm sealing him to his parents. So I don't think I'll find the spouse today. What I would do real quickly is I want to standardize this where this exclamation mark is. So I'm going to click this pencil, and I'm going to come here and edit the marriage information. The date is standardized, but for some reason the place isn't. I simply click behind the place, and then I put in a space, and the computer comes up and says, oh, do you want to have Notaway, Missouri, United States? And it's a little bit more correct, but the important thing is the computer can then read it and use it in its searches. So I go ahead and click it. That standardized piece comes up here, and then I think this will suffice, standardized local information, and so I just am going to then save that. And then you'll notice when I come over and get rid of that box, that exclamation mark's gone and everything's right in the marriage date of his parents. If I wanted to, since I don't have any record hints, I could quickly click on the ancestry link and just see if John Wakefield has a spouse. This find a grave has a father and a mother listed, but I don't see a spouse listed there. World War II draft registration card sometimes has a spouse listed, but you're not a lot of times sure about it. 1840 census, we've got John, and he is single in 1840. So that's probably telling me that there's a real good chance that I'm not going to find a spouse for him in the records that are available, and I need to just be content to go ahead and take him to the temple to seal him to his parents. So I'm going to come up here, I'm going to click on the Ordinances link, and it's going to say sealing to the parents, and I will say yes, that's what I want to do. I'll click request. It'll show me what it's going to request, sealing to parents. I click request. It gives me the list of rules. Don't do famous people, don't do Jewish Holocaust victims, do your own family, and then make sure that the people that you're doing were born more than 110 years ago. When I say yes, I'll accept that, I click accept, and then that goes to my list of temple ordinances. When I go to temple all reserved, John Wakefield will be my top person, and all I will need to do is click that box and print the card to take him to the temple and perform the sealing to parents for him. Now let me go back to Joseph Caleb Balderson's Descendancy View, and I want to just show you one more thing. you're going to have to ignore all these other green temples that are available, but I want to focus on an orange temple. Now, I will say this, with all these green temples in the Ordinance Ready method, I have to limit myself to 4 and deal with those before I can look at others. And it might be that some of those are awkward to me. I don't feel like I have enough evidence, or that I'm pleased with the circumstances around that family that is provided to me in the Ordinances Ready, and I don't have the versatility to be able to go and look at a broader range of people. Here you can see I've got a whole bunch of people that are likely candidates, and I can look at any one of them, request some, not request others. And so I personally like that as a form of freedom that I get by pursuing my own. But what I wanted to show you was the Ordinances Ready won't bring you orange temples. And because orange temple is meaning that somebody needs ordinances, but they're not ready because they need to have more information. And so I had mentioned that it's really exciting to see an orange temple with a blue record hint beside it, because the blue record hint may provide the information you need and you'll be able to turn it into a green temple. Let's see if this works for this one. So I'm going to take a look at Kenneth Shaw Harding. You notice that he needs all of his ordinances, but we don't have you need to have a date and a place to be able to take them to the temple, and all we've got are dates with no places. So I'm going to go ahead and right click on his name, open a link in a new tab, and when I come to his person page, I've got several record hints waiting for me here. The first one is the Social Security Death Index, and when I click it, I can see that 1906, he was born in 1906, 1989, he died in 1989. And so this is going to give me better information and tell me where. You'll see that I'm going to be able to add the birthplace, but I'm not going to be able to add the death place from this record. So I'll quickly attach that, and I have this birth is better than this, and this death is better. Oh, it gives me the death place, sorry, and not the birthplace. I will come here and say verifies birth and death information. And then I will attach it. I come back to Kenneth, and because I've attached that one source, I can come down here and I can click this and come down, and it says his birth date is 3 July 1906. So I can change this date of birth to say 3 July 1906, and then the computer gives me it correctly formatted. I click that. I still don't have a place that it happened in. I'm personally thinking that it is Washington, and the way they had it indexed is incorrect. But I'm gonna hope one of those other sources is even better. So I'm just going to say verified on Social Security Death Index. And so that's still not going to change my orange temple green, because all I did was improve the date. But if I come here to this this death index, Washington Death Index, and I look at it, it has an event place for the death date, and so we're going to go ahead and attach this. And you can see I've got his residence that year, but King, Washington, United States for his death place. I'm going to say verifies birth and death information. And then attach it. I'll go back to Kenneth, and at this point I'm going to put in the death place by clicking this, looking, and it says the event place is King, Washington, United States. Oh, and I've also got to change it to 25 December. And then I put in King, Washington. At some point there you're able to stop and it provides it for you, and so I'll click that, and then I say verified on Washington death index. Save it. Now at this point, with the death place, this should turn green. I'm going to refresh the page. Well, let's see if I click the ordinances. Yeah, they're green here now. And so where I wasn't able to request them before, now I'm able to request them. I would spend just a little bit more time, or now it's green here. I would spend a little bit more time. For instance, if I wanted to, well, let's take a look at the find a grave. I can come here and go to the actual site, and it says that his birth is Washington, the USA, so I can go in there. And if you're somebody who doesn't trust find a grave because it's secondary information, here's a census record. When I go there, it says that Kenneth was born in Washington, and so this record would allow me to also do that. I'll attach that really quickly. And I've got 2 places of residence. I've just got to remember to go back and do that. I'll say verifies birth and family information. That's what census records do. And then I attach it. While I'm at it, there's no other family that's on that census record, which is kind of surprising. Usually there's other people. So I'm going to come back here, edit it. And in this one, if I wanted to, I could click and see that his birthplace is Washington. And so I come here and do Washington, United States, and I'll say verified on census record. And so these record hints are really easy to use, and they allow us to change orange temples to green. Those won't be coming up on Ordinances Ready. And now at this point, now I've got more stuff that I'll want to add here. Probably some of it will help me to maybe get this marriage date put in. I might even go and look on Ancestry for the marriage date. But I've made it so I can take him to the temple. And then I would just come here and request it as I've demonstrated before.